from my perspective, we all knew that we were starting out in 2023 in kind of a slump, right? That hit us at the at the end of 2022. So tell us, Deborah, what happened in the last quarter of 2023, and how does that feed into what we expect in 2024?
Absolutely. So yeah, so I just want to jump back one step before I go forward because I think this is kind of important. So tying back why this experience based and this demand goes back to that new inventory level. The real so new inventory coming on wasn't providing a lot of these types of homes. So hence the reason why we saw sales slow. So we just want to make sure that we tie that back. So we came in a very, very slow 2023 after a big slump of end of 2022. People were sitting on the fence. They didn't know what to do. They were looking at the economy. There was not any positivity. We didn't know whether we were going into a recession. Interest rates were bumping up. And generally, everybody felt very uneasy. So, and back to my point, people were saying, well, why would I give up my mortgage rate? Because even the wealthy, no matter how much money you've got, why would they not borrow money when it was 2-3%? And why would they give that up? Right? So to borrow money at 7%, that makes no sense. So we have all this other stuff going on. But I think what gradually happened over the year was that the market and the economies, and even though there was some crazy global events, gradually I think people became that this was the new norm. And I think, and I hate that saying, but it does typify what is happening. People began to say, okay, yeah, interest rates are not going to go back down. The economy is going to be, where do I stand? What do I need to do? What do I need? What do I want? And they started looking at real estate, and especially affluent started to look at real estate as less of a, I want it, so I'm going to buy it, but more as a long-term investment, whether it was for them, their family. Again, family was such a big thing that came out of, and it all ties into that experience, right? What does the home offer me? What does it give me? So this was all playing and it's slowly ebbing through. The messages about create the right environment and they will buy your home. Developers were starting, we saw this, developers were changing all the amenities in buildings and developments, and they were coming up with, you don't have to stay in your apartment. You can go into a private office in your building. We will build you the spa-like amenities in the building. You can have this, you can have that, you can have private elevators. All of this stuff was coming through. And we even saw like a big surge in what I call the branded residences, where owned by hoteliers, or they had the hotel name, and people were buying these residences and being able to take advantage of all the hotel amenities, room service, maid service, whatever, and this was coming back, and people were happy to go back to the city because they wanted to be outside, but they still wanted that security, and they still, just in case, there's still that little bit of like, oh, we're going to go back, or when will we get, so that's going on. So all of these things were coming through, and I think by the time we got to September, there had been quite a shift in a lot of things. Equally, what we saw, so we had that, okay, and we started to see listings come on, right? So the number of new listings went up, and it was like, oh, why is this happening? And this was actually before in America, they announced that they were going to do an interest rate, okay? In Canada, they were still saying that they were probably going to see an interest rate in 2024, but there was nobody talking about an interest rate hike. So what the brain did went, I'm okay. I haven't got to worry because there's not going to be interest rate hikes. I can deal with this now. And I think that was the biggest difference. And then with the announcement that there would be in the future some interest rate drops, and then we got good news about the economy starting to be okay. We saw inflation start to come down, and it felt like everything had reached a point that we weren't going to go the wrong direction. And I feel that that's what happened. And we saw, yes, I know the numbers in 2022 had gone down, but we saw for the first time, we actually started to see more sales month over month. Both in October, November, and December, there were more sales. If that's not a trend of consumer confidence, I'd be really surprised because, like we said, the affluent they've got money, they can buy, but they still live in the same world as we all do. And they still want to know that nothing's going to come out of the woodworks and bite them. So I think that's the biggest message for me, was that very much we saw the economy stay up, interest rates flatten. And as a result, we're seeing people say, okay, I can put my house on the market. And because they're putting the house on the market, buyers are coming up. There's a pent-up demand. There's a massive pent-up demand for people, and especially if you've got the right home. But I do caution, and they do say what we don't want to do in 2024 is see massive interest rate drops, because that could actually be counterproductive. And the reason I feel it's counterproductive is if we see a big interest rate drop, what will happen is the market will flood. People will go, oh, I can sell. And one or two things will happen. We'll see massive downward pressure on prices. And then, luxury people, most part, don't have to sell. So they'll just pull their listings back again. They'll just pull their house off the market because they're not going to sell at a lower rate than they purchased. So suddenly we'll have no inventory again. So prices will go back up. Or you're going to be in a situation where the pent-up demand will really create, because there's so much inventory coming on the market, they'll just buy everything, and then we'll end up with no inventory. That went back to stagnation again. So for our sake, what we want to see is a slow interest rate decrease, so that we can slowly build that to a nice solid market in 2024.